Good morning, everyone. In case y'all didn't know, today is my birthday. Now, for the past week, I've been, thinking and reflecting back on my life, and I start thinking about, how much I change, how much I try to change, and how much I've been putting effort into trying to change my ways. And since I was a kid, the teachers would say I was stubborn at school. So my grandpa would constantly get mad at me and say I better quit being stubborn. Back then, I didn't comprehend what they meant. By comprehend, I didn't understand the textbook version of the definition. But as I got older, I understood, and I realized where I got the stubbornness from. See, I was raised with my grandparents until I was 16, and they were stubborn. They weren't perfect, but I realized where I got the stubbornness from. There's a saying that's called an Indian grudge. They may never forgive you. And that's what they call an Indian grudge. They could be holding grudges until they're senile. And I was telling my friends this back in California, my friend Kenneth. I told him, how I got into it with some of my family members, and I would talk to him for months, and it went to a couple of years. And he said, "You guys are just like the Mexicans." I'm like, "Well, we are part Mexican." He says, "I know," but he says Mexicans also hold grudges too, where they may not talk to people for a long time. So I even had a best friend who was stubborn. He wasn't open to anyone else's opinion. So I got to understand all these different, types of stubbornness. But I didn't really understand. And the difference between comprehend and understand, I comprehend, but I didn't truly understand until I dated a girl that was stubborn. And I talked with her mom, and she said she's always been stubborn. And this girl didn't look like she was changing her ways. Probably still stubborn to this day. But that's when I really started thinking on my life and thinking about forgiveness. Half my family members I don't see eye to eye with. But it doesn't mean I'm going to let them, push me around, take advantage of me. And I don't hang around with most of them because I do not want to look like the bad guy, even though they're provoking me. So I be the bigger person. So being a martial artist, it's really tough, like mentally. Because physically you want to do something, but you pretty much know that you're fucked if you do. You get in more trouble. And Bruce Lee also had this saying, it's like, if I can remember right, it's like everyone's like easily forgivable if one can admit to mistakes. Something close to that. I can't remember the thing right now. But also from Enter the Dragon, when he says the art of fighting without fighting, which today they call verbal jiu-jitsu. You always avoid a conflict. I've gotten to it in the past with people. And I was like, okay, if we're going to get ready to fight, then I'm ready. And it never happens. Next day, they shake my hand, give me a hug, and say they're sorry. And I'm like, don't worry about it. Because if someone commit their wrong, it takes a lot of strength. And if someone says they're sorry, and they mean it, yeah, can easily be forgivable. And as you get older, I try to avoid negativity because growing up around it so much, it's around me whether I try to avoid it or not. So, but I also have a right at peace. Half my family may not, agree with me. But I'm at the point though, we could get along better if we're not around each other. I'm trying to better myself so they can go do their thing, whatever it is they want to do, and just keep all that drama away from me. I know they disagree because they're in denial that they're in drama, but at some point they got to come to terms with that. But I'm not going to wait for them because I ain't getting any younger. I'm just going to work on myself, and hopefully they work on themselves. And if you're watching, hopefully you work on yourself too. And as we get older, let's try not to be stubborn, because my grandpa was stubborn. And he complained that nobody wanted to help him. And for me, being a CNA for nearly a decade, there's residents that were stubborn until the day they died. And guess what? Their family didn't come to visit them. And after they passed on, we had their stuff. We would call them numerous times and say, hey, can you come get his stuff, his belongings? And they're saying, no, it's okay, you can donate them, even though that they're family photos. So it's just try not to be stubborn as we get older. And as you get older, you get crankier, but you try to live the best of life you can. And especially you see all these posts, new me, new year, all of that. Well, just try to put effort in on it and make the first step in not being stubborn. Change your ways, be more forgiving, not just for others, but for yourself, because God forgives. And by you not forgiving someone too, it's like you're saying they're not good enough. And when your time comes, though, you want all of that off your chest. It'll torture you. So everyone have a happy New Year's, and let's try to work on not being stubborn and be more forgiving. And also keep that balance, though. Don't let no one take advantage of you, though.